were you born?
Who was your love? Who did you marry?
Who am I speaking to?
Who are you? Hard.
I think I just like to just naturally listen. You know.
You should just walk around without the laser, see what you get. Or maybe point at the dark areas.
Why are you here?
What are you guys finding?
Not much.
You're pointing right here.
Hmm.
It almost went onto me. Right because you're pointing.
Oh.
Not find a bunch? Have you heard anything?
Well, I heard death. I heard Jesus.
That kind of relates to a church. And, and right around over there, it's like strangely awful. Right around that little place right there, which looks strangely suspicious to me. I've gotten 2 readings that might have been those. Because like right here, one right here, and then I got one like right here. Yeah, like there and there. Oh yeah. Well, that's steady. That might have been just that. But I was like,
Have you tried maybe towards the wall, like by the church?
I went there again, but right there in that corner is very, very creepy. And that over there too. And that little circle there.
Well, I can see where that looks creepy.
Cover it up. They tried to cover it up.
All right, Vera, you got anything?
Oh,
Oh, you just got to switch back. Glenda, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. All right, let's head over to the wall. You guys gave me some really cool stuff. I'm more excited about. So, the judge, he wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly on their own after he's already tried and hung the drunken pirates that wouldn't come up and fight, so they're dead and gone. But the 2 ladies go in front. They reveal their gender, trying to save themselves. Judge Nick does not care. Yes, his name is Nicholas, just like me, so if you hear my name, it's not me, it's him. He doesn't care that they're female. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. So, we plead our bellies was the last thing they shouted out to him. Why? Because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail. Dad is still here in the Charlestown area with his Irish money, because yes, he was an attorney back home. And he bails Ann out, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed. We never know. And she has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending. Mary Reed. Miguel's like, wow, that's pretty harsh. So Mary Reed, she dies a year later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. So use your imagination. That was 1721. Again on that one. The only 2 things I left out of this whole story that you guys, that I got you proved, just to get you some questions to get you started, the name of Anne Bonny's parents. Notice I said mom and dad. So that would be her father, obviously, and his mistress. I left out the names of those 2. I know those 2 names, if you want to ask those from your spirit boxes. The other thing I left out was the name of Calico Jack's ship. Very significant ship name. So again, those things will start to pop up once you start asking. Who has the, so Nina, I'm going to have you use the REM pod in here, that's the motion sensor. I want you to ask Ann Bonny to show you her hair color. I've been asking that a lot lately, and we've actually been getting the answer, either out of Valerie's device, your device, or Jay's device. Between the 3 of you, like somebody's going to get the answer, I can guarantee it. Those of you with cameras and or lasers, you can go to the front of the building. You would exit the lot and make a left. The only thing I ask is that you don't interrupt the other tours. Again, they're going to move on pretty quickly. Just wait your turn to get us some footage. I'm actually going to go hang out over there by that wall and wait for you guys to start coming back to me. You guys all know what you're doing by now. So let's have some fun. I am going to write down friends. Did you hear something else too that I needed to write down?
Yeah, forgot what I said.
Among Us or something?
Oh, we are among.
Oh.
We are among. We are
Yeah,
among.
Among Us or something like that.
Yeah.
Was it here?
No, it
Is
was
that
in the
Philly?
alley.
Astor keeps coming out. The church.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling.
Told ya. And Bonnie. All right. You are friends.
Ready?
That was fun.
Yes.
And put on the light and ask questions. No, you ask questions and I'll listen.
Yeah, the lasers, even if you guys want to go to the front, you can, and you put them in the lawn, just make sure they stay on the ground when you're in the front. So again, it's up to you if you want to go up there. There might be another tour there, so again, if you want to start back here, by all means do so. I love when people get that weird look. It means you actually heard something.
Couldn't tell.
Alright, you want to go over there?
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do? Huh? What are you supposed to do? Doesn't give anything.
I don't know what to ask. Okay.
And what is your hair color?
And are you? And
I just saw green right here go through my I think it went this way.
Oh, yes.
Jesus.
Again, we had Pastor show up on the word list a couple times.
Yeah,
You're hearing
it was
Jesus. So
I like that friend though. It was literally as soon
At
as
the
you
same
said it, it was
time.
like friends.
it's like they know what story I'm going to tell, right?
They want to be clear. They were
And
not
because of the cemetery,
Yeah, like, get this
does
straight.
every now and then do people hear something related to people that are
So-
buried there?
In the month of March,
Mhm.
I can talk about Ann Bonnie every single night, but I still get things relative to John Calhoun because he's buried over there.
Yeah.
He was born in March, he died in March.
Mm.
So we do get a lot of things in here. We'll get, because he had a statue here, it was torn down. It was kind of an ugly
Right.
situation. The whole Black Lives Matter thing.
Yeah, I heard.
It got really ugly down here. So again, I will get things that were like statue torn down. You know, things like that will start to pop up. His birthday shows up a lot, obviously. His death date. The number 7 shows up here all the time because he was our 7th vice president. So again, we do get a lot in March specific to John Calhoun.
Okay.
So I don't normally talk a whole lot about him unless something pops up. And again, there's like 15 stories on the street corner alone. So again, when you guys start hearing other things, like last night, somebody had something relative to the story that they're all about to go here. So I had to tell that story. And this is fine. Sometimes the evidence will lead me into a whole different direction. But the funny thing is that story that I normally don't tell, there was like 5 or 6 clues relative specific to that story. So like her birthday, her initial came up. What's up?
Death.
You heard death? It's funny because last night, I'm not kidding, you can look it up on the other tour. We had like dead body, decompose, all of these things that were like buried here, like all of these weird things, like dark, like took a really dark turn of things. I know we're near a cemetery, so you wouldn't think so, but we heard all of those things here. So the fact that you just heard death here and we haven't heard anything like that for the rest of the evening, yeah, not surprised that it's reoccurring. Oh, I'm sorry, I almost smacked you in the head.
I just want to tell you another thing right here.
Okay.
The reason why I go through here because I feel like it's very right here.
And Bonnie got bailed out. But you don't know about flesh to the hospital. What? And Bonnie got bailed out. But you don't know about flesh to the hospital.
Yeah, it's messed up. Should we go out?
Yeah, he said he said nothing.
Anything? No? Do you want to listen?
Yeah.
You want to do this? Yeah. You have to ask questions. Hold on. What if we all did it together? Because aren't we supposed to, if you ask, and then we can see if anything gets recorded? No?
Yeah. I was gonna veer off into the dark corner and ask a question.
Okay, let's go.
Are you here? Are you here? What's your hair color? What's your hair color?
Why don't you ask, rather than yes or no, why don't you ask, like, random,
What?
You said refrain from asking yes or no questions.
What?
yeah, refrain from asking yes or no questions.
Oh.
So
What
just,
should I ask? What is your hair color?
what's your hair color? Were you really friends? Or no, who are you here with? What's your name? What's your name? Who are you here with? How long have you been here?
Oh gosh. How long have you been here?
Jesus, how much further can they take this? But,
Who's your friend? How long have you been here?
yeah. Well, it almost switched and then came back. Yeah, it was weird.
Very interesting. Anything being heard on that spirit box, Sarah? It's not easy to do, is it?
No, it's really hard.
Yeah. Try listening to that with your first cup of coffee every morning. That's never fun.
Oh, really?
Who's your friend? What is your hair color?
Who did you marry?
And who did you marry?
Okay.
That's perfect. Good. All right. So, what is this place? When we crossed that last crosswalk coming down East Main Street, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. Charleston used to be called Charlestown. It was a walled city. You're standing on one of the very first streets we ever had. So, by the way, and Rowena kind of wore me out vocally already on the way down here. So, man, I'm running out of water. So, she like that all the time? Yeah, love it. I told her I should have brought 2 waters because once I see the smaller tickets, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have a talker. That's kind of how that goes. But anyway, the reason why I had you guys listening for names, and you guys didn't give me any, and we never know what's gonna pop up during the recording, is because again, you're gonna be focused on me through here instead of the actual vocals. But I have the full list of names of every person that's ever lived down here. So it's not a very lengthy list, but I do get the same 2 names over and over and over again. Every 6 to 7 weeks, I hear the names Benjamin and John. It's not me hearing them, it's you guys hearing them. That's why I don't tell you the names. I want to see how legit this is. Was I expecting Benjamin and John to show up tonight? No, we're on week 5, 6 of that loop. Here's why that loop is actually happening. you're standing on Belgian blocks. These bricks have been here since 1739 that we know of. A few hundred years, we'll say that. Basically, the stone tape theory states that bricks or something from the earth that has been here this long is hanging on to the memories of the things that actually happened here and spitting it back to us on our electronics. Basically what you guys are listening to now. Now, here's the interesting thing. The bricks we're standing on are made of granite. They are not supposed to have any type of electromagnetic anything about them. So, I'm going to have you place your device directly on any brick you choose and see if we get a reading above 2.5. We should only get a reading up to 1.1 because that's the natural field from the earth. So go ahead and place a brick and literally just set it on the ground and keep an eye on it. We're going to see if we get any kind of reading out of it. We'll watch it for a few minutes and I'm kind of going through the history here. So I've seen that device go all the way up to 15 in this location. Again, not supposed to have anything here on that kind of, that kind of rock. So take that stone tape theory. It's not completely proven yet in this location, but we're getting damn close because next week is when I expect those two names to start popping up. Now when I say people live here, I'm not talking like 5 people at a time. So when I say I have Benjamin and John that both live here at the same time, that's 2 out of 5 people. It's pretty good odds. It's the same Benjamin and John every 6 to 7 weeks giving me something. Every once in a while we'll get a third name, Jane. It was funny, Rowena and I were talking about unique names on the way here. You're going to hear that on your audio, by the way. And the name Jane, you would think, is a very common name, but not so much. You don't hear that so much today. So why do we get it on our spirit boxes? One of the people in 1801 was Jane. So funny thing about John, I'll go back to him for a second, but we're 4 different Johns that lived here in a 60-year time span. John likes to give us his last name, Johnson. John Johnson. And then we have a Benjamin Hopkins. And we get those 2 names in the same night every 6 to 7 weeks. Again, I can't make this stuff up, guys. It just happens. So before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here. Do you have any numbers going on? Or is it still right around 1.1? 1.1. Okay, so really nothing. You can definitely pick it up. I don't think we're going to get anything out of it. The Freemasons obviously had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. That's why it's called that. So, but we also had terms that show up around the Freemasons. So obviously Freemason, Mason, and the word Illuminati loves to show up out of the 2 red spirit boxes that we have here tonight. Now, first off, I'm going to ask you, you're listening to radio stations. Who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? First off. Second, why are we only hearing it while we're in this space? I don't hear it in any other location. Last year it was 6 times. This year it's been 3 times so far, and it's all been before I even mentioned the Freemasons that actually had a lodge here. So, very interesting space indeed. Again, it's one of those spaces that's going to explain the rest of our night together as we kind of go through. But we are going to go to another alley, but I can't take you all the way through it. I can take that. That's the fun part. You guys have all the noisemakers and the blinky lights and those kind of things. Glenda's ears just perked up. Like, yeah, Nick got in trouble. Let's hear about this. I am going to tell you about it once we get to the space, but I still tell the story outside of the alley because it still stirs up a lot of active activity. And we're going to talk about that once we get over there. And of course, as we go through the rest of this alley, keep recording with your video cameras, but turn them off on the exit because we're cutting through a neighborhood in order to get to that alley. The interesting thing about the next alley is we will get clues from that place for the rest of the evening, even though it's not our last stop. So again, it's going to be relatively close enough to our last stop to where we're going to still hear things from that story through your spirit boxes all night long from here going forward. So again, that's why I keep stopping there. We're also going to be running into some of the other larger tours. I told you that Charlestown allows us to go to 20 people. This is my max. We stay out of their way because they're not investigating, telling stories and moving on. So you're going to see me kind of navigate us a little bit differently as we kind of go throughout the space. So let's go up to this next alley and see what we can go capture. Remember to shut your video recorders off as we exit.
I heard we are. Yes. You should tell me.
That's it. Where's Glenda? Let's see.
Taking a break.
Ah.
Glenda, I'm looking around for you. What do you got going on with yours? What have you heard?
12 and then legally 3.
Those actually are both very relevant to where we are. That's probably the most relevant thing we've heard so far. To be honest with you. You don't know why yet because I'm withholding every information, but it's all going to make sense once I reveal all the information. So you're on the right track. You're hearing things. I know it sounds silly, but you just gave me 2 very specific numbers. So it's not relevant.
I've got no names. So when did the house stop? Like, did it turn down?
She's trying to get answers out of me. You seeing that? She's trying to see what all I've seen her with Google.
How many children and what are their names? I'm not giving names. Yeah. That came after the legal hearing.
Of course, everybody keeps hiding from me. I gotta keep on.
So I just hold it in front of you?
No, not in front of me. You just instead this has got to be close to your toes.
Oh.
The line right there. It's
Like that?
no, this outer line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
right
then
about
if something
there.
walks in front of me?
Yeah, something like I would capture it, because something would catch the movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would see something like same thing with the the red one. Yeah.
Ask him.
Eliza, how many children did you have?
Too noisy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so, Miguel, you can go ahead and stop your video too.
Okay.
The red circle at the top. It's the only one there.
Oh.
So again, don't be surprised if the cop comes over here and says, "What's going on? Why do you people have cameras?" Kind of mentality. So just Don't be surprised. I also seen the horses or the police on horses earlier on Market Street.
Yeah.
Did you guys see those?
Yes.
Like, I don't think I've ever seen those down here. So just kind of crazy. But first off, spirit boxes. I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. You're going to get the answers from your spirit boxes, and yes, I'm going to withhold information on purpose. So that way you guys actually have a genuine experience. Is that fair again? Yeah, I thought so, because I'm not here to make anything up. So, what is this place? This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. Their mansion actually sat in the front of this space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So kind of keep that in mind. I always like to give you the layout of the land of where we are before we get started. So who were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Do you guys see why we look for secondary verifiers now? I need to know which Chuck we're chatting with. So, yeah, because there's 3 of them. So, but the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than everybody here. So we're going to move on. Nobody wants to talk politics, especially when y'all are on vacation. So, Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. We're going to move this way a little bit because that car's going to need to get out. That's the only way in and out of here, by the way. But she married him at a young age according to today's standards, not the standards of colonial times and where she lived. So again, if you ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14. Just kind of, you know, I see, I was waiting for the call. So, when you guys start going through your questions, you can ask how old she was when she got married. And the reason I bring this up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age when they married. Kind of a creepy age gap back in colonial times, kind of a creepy age gap now. So just kind of keep that in mind when you guys are listening to those kind of numbers. But anyway, she married Charles because her father was over in England and he thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids back home. Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put and got married in 1744. You don't get married in 1744 for a green card. There's no such thing as our country yet. So again, kind of keep that in mind. She did marry him out of love. And even after he died, she remained a widow. But back to the time when she got married. Her father didn't die right away, so she was right. Instead, he starts sending her gifts to this space where we're standing right now. You guys have been in town for at least an hour. You've seen the word indigo somewhere.
Yeah.
He sent her plant seeds of indigo, which is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. I don't think, oh, Glenda's got it on. Somebody has to have it. I always have one example. So that's how we still use it today. But Eliza didn't know what to do with these seeds when she actually got them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here. When she figured it out, she moved it to another plantation. And then she calls her father up overseas and says, rice plantations over here in Charleston are going downhill. We can make a killing with the indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So again, that's her business. That's the boring stuff. Let's get into the weird stuff because that's why you guys are all here. So we're going to go through a series of questions. I'm going to start off with Valerie's spirit box. So the Eliza I just spoke of was the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back, 5 months apart. The first wife, Eliza, dies in January of 1744. He marries the one we just talked about in May of 1744. Both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. See if you can find out which Eliza we're dealing with by asking for her maiden name. You can also ask how old she was when she got married. So again, hopefully those answers will start to pop up to you. Glenda, we're going to go with you on the children. We're going to see what happens with this. I already told you there's one. His name was Charles. There are more. You can ask how many she had total and what their names were, but don't poke the bear. The reason I say that is because there's a tragedy among one of those children. If we poke the bear too hard, all activity will stop. So if we're getting little tidbits of something, it'll go away if you start poking the bear. So how many kids she had and what their names were. I'm going to go back to Matthew. So with yours, I want you to focus on what happened to the mansion. I'm going to keep yours simpler just because it is a very hard spirit box to listen to. Okay. If you get an answer, ask when it happened. Okay. So kind of stick with that one. What happened to the mansion. Jay, you're going to go after those same questions. Because again, yours is getting like 1 to 2 syllables at a time. What happened to the mansion? When did that happen? And then Dana, with yours. Your spirit box, I want you to go after Eliza's death. Anything you want to. How old she was, where she's buried, where she died from, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Yeah, again, very specific questions. I'm sure you guys all seen it. None of these are yes or no questions. So that's kind of how this is going to go. This is a safe place for lasers. So Miss Barrett, this is where you can actually use the lasers. I do have to work Dina to actually show her how to use the motion sensor a little bit more. But I'm going to be bouncing around with all of you to answer even more questions as we're kind of going through this. So have you had any color show up yet? And have you had any numbers show up yet on your screen?
Yeah, but nothing that
How high did it go?
like
0.5. Okay, yeah, that's a squash. All right, so she and I are going to talk more about that. But let's get the question out loud, or just keep it however you're comfortable. So some people just want to focus on it. Other people need to like verbally hear it. So it just depends on whatever somebody's comfortable with. Nice slow movements out of you. You're still recording, so I know you're good, and I can see your blinking light, so you're still good. We're going to spread out in this lot. We're not going to go near vehicles or in between the vehicles. If somebody's going to their vehicle, go the opposite way. And we are going to stay within these confined walls right here. So again, I'm going to keep Nina behind. Everybody else, let's spread out, have some fun, get those spirit boxes cranked up. Let's see what we can capture.
Do it together?
Yeah, definitely unmute yours.
So you guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. So am I walking like next to you, or what am I doing? Waiting for that guy to back out. What? Waiting for him to back out, but not really moving.
Nothing yet? See nothing.
Look at you guys, you're like pros. Nice slow movements, beautiful. So this camera, even when we're not using the lasers, can still capture orbs. So we're still going to be recording quite a bit through the night.
Okay.
And that's also why I gave Glenda that other spirit box with the earbuds, so that way the two of you can share when you're not doing laser work. So that way you guys can actually have some fun both ways and mix things up a little bit. Maybe
Nice.
Glenda will want to use the camera and vice versa. You two want to play with the spirit box.
Yeah. Okay. Nothing.
Have oils on me, so that kind of keeps
The
all
trees
the bugs
actually
off.
have
So they're all
trees
around
have
my ankles. I don't know if you noticed, but I have like no hair. It looks like I have white socks on all the time. Yeah,
trees
they're
have
covered in
heat.
mosquito bites. Yeah. Big John's behind me. Of course the place is haunted. That's why we started here. And Valerie, you were asking me why here before. So now you're going to find out why. So this place used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. He owned the place. Now you know why it's named Big John's. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a location, I will always slow down on specific keywords for all of the spirit boxes we're using tonight. The specific keywords here would be 47, New York, Giants, and anything relatable to a bar. And of course the name John, we'll go with that one too. But anyway, this was his place, and he used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, two guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. So he has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty angry and come back the next night and try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, he slams down his beer, and he goes over and he just starts pounding on these guys, just beating the heck out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck, and the bullet lands behind him in the wall. After being shot, the only one that's been shot, no less, he actually gets up, goes back to the bar, and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the two guys on the floor, and ambulance. So, here's the irony of the story. I tell you that this building is haunted, your mind automatically goes to some tragic death that occurred here. And the story I just told you has no death in it. It just has somebody getting shot in a bullet hole in the wall. What's haunting the place is that bullet hole in the wall. In the event that it was filled in by this new renovation of Big John's blood is still in this building. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, a little nauseous, a little headache. Of course, we gotta have all the puppy lovers over there trying to make things noisy for us. So, people that sit in the front, again, get those very light symptoms. This is kind of a heated morning, which is part of the reason why we start here. Fingers crossed we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight. Again, I've yet to have a tour that didn't have something come through. But at the same time, if anybody feels any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately, but we're always going to blame the heat and humidity first. Like, it is very humid out here, so, and it's always going to be our first thought, but I still need to know immediately. Is that fair to everybody?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so, you guys haven't been taking other historical tours, so this one might be news for you. We had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't already know that, now you do. It's a weird thing for us because we're supposed to have hurricanes, not earthquakes. But the building behind me is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front. A piece of it broke off, hit somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. And you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. Now, I said apparently and allegedly along with that, and Glenda's like, yeah, this sounds like a very mythological type story. And it's because I have no proof. It's just a great segue, so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, even though I just brought it up again. So, again, are you guys all ready to go ghost hunting?
Yeah.
All right, let's get off this street corner. That's making me scream and shout at you. We're going to go this way. I hate being in the noisy environment. Not yet. Not yet. Only because we are near horses that actually eat white noise, which is part of the reason why we use the earbuds on all the ones that can take the earbuds. So, welcome to the Big Red Barn Lot, everybody. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. This is just so we can talk more about your devices, and you guys will be able to ask me questions before we actually deep dive into much deeper history than ponies. So, the history here is really simple. First, you need to know, like today, this is where we pull some of your horses for your carriage rides. So you guys can probably smell them on a humid night. I'm immune to it because I'm out here 7 nights a week. But again, the history here is really simple. It's a one-liner. Same building is where they used to hold horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. So 1860s to 1920s, roughly. So keywords here being obviously delivery, milk, and eggs. Anything relatable to a stable. So let's talk about all these spirit boxes we have in play. So first off, this is not a Ouija board, and this is definitely not television. What do you think the first question is when everybody gets something like this? What do you think they want to ask?
How'd you die?
How'd you die? What else? Where are they? Where are they?
What's your name?
Normally we get questions like, is somebody here? Right? Normally you get a Ouija board with the yes-no problems on there, and is somebody here? We are not going to be doing that. Why? Because if Matthew hears the words no, that means somebody's here. So again, he got a direct answer. You don't get paranormal evidence out of yes and no questions. So again, we're going to be going after specifics tonight. For example, in a space like this, me teaching people how to use a spirit box, I would normally tell you, you want to ask questions you already know the answers to. If somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, you're looking and listening for the color red. I said looking because Valerie actually has a word list. She doesn't have to listen. So again, the rest of you are using song lyrics and DJs to be able to convey messages back to us. So, oh, you're still good. Now, with that said, the song lyrics and DJs might not have the word red to be able to answer us back right away. But fire truck, blood, heart, those three things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer. For example, what color's the big red barn? Blood. I'm good. However, most of the night, I'm going to require that there's at least two pieces of something going on to be able to verify what's going on, like they call it paranormal. Another example. Let's say Valerie's word list has the word art on it. That doesn't mean anything to us over here by itself. Who else has a spirit box? So Glenda here's the number 40 on hers. Together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's football team. Does that make sense to everybody now, how we're going to be putting all these clues together? Right. You're going to see how I'm going to be bouncing around with all of you, and you're going to think like, oh, I don't think it's anything, and then you're going to tell me something like the number 40, and I'm like, oh, we have Art over here, I know he was number 40. So then we have something going on. So again, no matter how silly you think it might be, and yes, it will be song lyrics and FM radio stations, if you hear drop it like it's hot, I want to know that you heard drop it like it's hot. So just to kind of give you that example. Cameras. So Rowena, you're going to try to do two things for us. Go ahead and point that camera directly at me. So, well, I guess with all cameras, Miguel included, we're going to be in spaces like this where people have their cars parked. People do not like their cars to be filmed or taken pictures of, so of course we're going to be very careful of not taking pictures or film of somebody's car. And then if I do it, Andy's coming. So Miguel, you'll just point yours at the ground, and well, you're a 9-year-old playing with a cell phone, so it should be perfectly fine. That's probably the other reason why I like to give it to the little ones. So you're going to try to keep one of us in view because we're going to be the warmest things out here. Like you had you said, your hand with 111 degrees. When you have a person in there, it's much easier to find the cold spots when I'm reviewing the video for you. So kind of make sure you keep somebody in view at all times, and also try to keep the sky out of view. The reason why is because the sky doesn't have a surface, and that blue dot I told you guys about earlier, it's going to default to the sky looking for a surface. So let's kind of go on to the infrared camera. So Vera, go ahead and point one of your lasers down on the ground for me. Perfect. Look at you. So Miguel, we're looking for things between the pen and the ground. Obviously, you don't want to like point it down at it. You're perfect. Like 2 to 4 feet. We want something to show up here. Like that's what we're looking for. So, and with you already recording, which is beautiful, it's not stopping and not locking up on us like the other one, which is super great. So that's how we're going to be using those. If you're going to use both of them at the same time, you want to keep them side by side. Don't cross the streams. Ghostbuster joke, anybody?
Yeah.
So again, it's pointless if you cross the streams because right now we have 2 pyramids, and if you put them together, you just made 1. So
this is okay?
Perfect. Yep. You're a little short, but that's okay. You got this. But again, very careful with lasers, please, because lasers will also set off car alarms. No pressure at all. Notice how I don't give you these warnings all at once. The only person I need to work with would be Nina at our next stop. So I'm going to do that at the next place. Does anybody have any other questions about their devices before we move on?
Will you let me know when we should do
Absolutely. I'm going to give you guys cues on everything.
I don't know.
looking for the blue and black spots. You're going to see any ghost walking by. If it looks like a person and they're blue, obviously it's not a real person. It must be a ghost. All right, let's go learn much deeper history than football players and ponies. Football horses. Let's do this.
We can switch for a while. We can switch for a while. Gonna be now. For your thing? No, I'll let you go. I can go back and we start here. You got
At least they have good grammar. Awesome. Sorry, English guy, this stuff sticks out to me like a sore thumb. So, welcome to a parking lot, everybody. Congratulations, you made it. So, again, this is a weird space, obviously filled with cars, cameras, you guys know the rules, but let's kind of get into why we're here and what we're doing. It's just very weird that I'm seeing police officers all over the place, too, by the way. It's not that we're not allowed over here, but this is a very weird space for people. Only because I want to be able to see motion along with this. So, Mr. Miguel, this one's going to go to you, sir. Oh. Look at you. You're like, yeah, I get something cool. I get some handy dandy stuff. So, the item that goes with that, and I always do this one next just to make sure because it does take two people to actually operate this. This is the neuralizer for Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything by the time we're done. So again, you're supposed to stare at the light. No, I'm kidding. Lasers. We're working with lasers here because through Miguel's camera, this thing lights up like a Christmas tree when something actually passes through it. So again, we're looking for motion to go through at a very quick rate. In the event we actually capture something, obviously I'll give you the still. And with this one particularly, this one has red squares. In the event something passes through here, I'll take that video still and give you a full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So again, this guy here, I've had it for about a year. The software, the 3D software hasn't been able to take what we've caught so far, so hopefully tonight is going to be our night. We are going to be using both of these with the same person. So, as soon as this car passes, you're the one person I forgot the name of.
Me?
Yes.
Vera.
Vera. Is it Vera or Vera?
Vera.
Vera, you get both lasers. Whenever you're using these, you want to make sure when you're pointing them at the ground that a tip of it kind of hangs onto your shoe. So you just want to keep it on the tip of your shoe, and that way you know they're always in control. Always keep them on the ground, unless of course I tell you to kind of direct in a different way. This one has a light switch, so it's on and off. So if it's on, it's going to stay on. So just be careful where you point it, because again, there's a laser law in Charleston. I'll get in a lot of trouble. This one has a button right where my finger's wavering. You have to hold it on. So kind of get used to where both of those buttons are and kind of get used to them. And then we're going to work together a little bit more with this whole setup at our next stop.
All right.
Okay.
Spirit boxes. We're going to be using a lot of them tonight. Because that's what we do. We like to talk to dead people. That's why you all are here. So if you're unfamiliar with a spirit box, normally if you watch the TV shows, this is the white noise that you would hear, and then your TV show host kind of tells you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it. We're doing that in real time. Only mine are set up a little bit differently because none of you were trained to listen to white noise for 2 hours at a time. Somebody's going to fall asleep along with the history I'm going to give you. So I have this slowed down so that way the radio chatter actually comes through. So song lyrics, DJs, and commercials are going to slip through this thing as it sweeps through all the stations. It's a 50-50 shot that if we can make out those radio stations or song lyrics or DJs, whatever's coming through, that I can tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history we're talking about, or even something going on with one of you. It happens all the time. So this one, the cool thing is that Dana is going to be the only one to hear this in real time. She's going to have an earbud in. So I'm going to be writing down everything that she hears in real time, but this one's recording I'm going to be going through it tomorrow morning and spot checking it and giving you about 15 to 20 more markers of things that I captured. So again, I don't want earbuds back. Your earwax is gross. Your own souvenir. So you get to keep those. Your volume button is the only thing you need to worry about. Everything else is already set up. It's the wheel at the top. So,
Wheel.
yep, there's a wheel. There's a button next to it and then the wheel this way. So kind of get used to where that wheel is, and that way you can kind of get a gist of it.
Perfect.
So warm.
Yeah.
So undo the twist tie, pop an earbud in.
Okay, I get some.
Bud spray. I was like,
My
where did that
hand
noise?
is, I just checked the tip of my hand, and it was 111.
It's because it's pretty hot out here.
Sometimes when I do like this, it looks a lot of red, but when I go the other way, it goes like from
Glenda, you're getting my other one.
Yes.
So, earbuds are yours, earwax is gross. Yours is not recording, so I'm going to have to rely on you in real time so I can write that stuff down. The reason why I'm giving, yeah, I know, no pressure. So, the reason why I'm kind of giving this one to you, this is one of the more fun ones we have, is because when Vera is not using the lasers, because we're not always in a safe space, she can take your other earbud and help you listen. Does that make sense now? So that way she continues to work. Your volume button is right here, the wheel at the top. I'm making sure it's turned all the way down so you don't get blasted in the ear. She's like, yes, give me that crazy thing. Trying to think, who do I have left? This spirit box works completely different. It sweeps both through the FM and AM radio stations at the same time.
I gotta go pee.
So, with this one particularly,
I gotta go pee.
Jay, this one's
Someone
gonna
would like
be
to
all
hold
about
this.
you. The only thing you need to worry about is it's going to try to eliminate the white noise that Dana and Glenda are listening to and only give you words. So, with that being said, it's a good possibility that you may not hear no more than 10 or 12 words tonight that you can actually make out. The only thing you need to worry about is how to hold it. That's the blinking lights at the top. That means on the right-hand side is the mute button. It's muted right now, so I can kind of get through the rest of these. I'll let you know when it's safe to unmute it. So that's how your spirit box works. No earbuds. It's got to be open air.
So the mute button's right here.
Yep.
I'll just hold it like that.
That's it. And the speaker's in the front, so that way you can actually hear it, where the blinking lights are.
Oh, right.
And there you go.
Oh, there we go.
There's the speaker right there.
Alright, there we go. Alright, cool.
Sometimes my hand gets a little tired of doing that, so I have to do it like that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes, like crazy.
Thank you so much. The next spirit box. This one works completely different than all of the ones I've shown off so far. This one is going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen, kind of like an Ovilus on your TV shows.
Oh, that's cool.
So the cool thing about this one is it's going to save all the words into a list with timestamps next to it. So this way I know exactly where I need to listen to the spirit box recording that Dana has, the videos, that kind of thing. This is a phone app. 80% of this is going to be garbage. I'm just putting it out there. The other 20% is going to be relative to the location of person, one of us. Same with the other one. I'm going to figure out last
Can you
night.
spray my neck? I'll spray yours.
I already did it.
Oh.
So again, they had, I want to say, about 7 or 8 terms that were relevant during our investigation throughout the entire evening. So,
Can you do my hand? Right here.
it's an easy one. So, I don't want to see every word that pops up, otherwise we're going to be out here all night long. I will come to you when I want to do the list and show you how to get through the list. That's it.
That gentleman.
This is an old school spirit box. So this spirit box, Matthew, I think I'm going to go with you on this one, just because this one's a little harder.
Okay.
And not everybody can hear this one, so it's really difficult to use.
Sure.
So again, it's an open air, no earbuds. So I have a ball speaker attached to it.
Okay.
So once I get it up and running, see that it's speaking. Perfect. So the only thing you need to worry about then, same thing as the volume. So obviously I'm going to turn it down so I can kind of show you. Obviously there's on the ball speaker there's a like a scroll. So you just hold it down. And then obviously you want to just hold it up to get some volume out of it. It takes a few seconds.
Got it. So just hold it and let it do its
You got it. Okay. But it's already at the sweep rate you needed at, and that's the only one you need for it.
So, if I was looking for ghosts, you have to try to follow the blue dot.
Try to, yeah.
And yeah, I see it. And the coolest thing right now where I'm looking at is 100 degrees.
100 degrees. 'Cause that's probably the farthest one.
No, actually, it's that top window.
You guys have all seen these on television, right? The K2 electromagnetic field meters. So these are kind of a must-have during an investigation, but we use these to debunk, meaning I want to make sure like it's coming from something man-made. So, Sreevani, anything that comes out of this guy, all I want to know is the colors, and because this is such an easy job, you're going to be double-fisted. So, and I don't normally hand this to kids because they don't know what a digital camera is. So, yeah. So again, there's no flash on this. So literally, you're going to take nice, still pictures because with no flash, every picture is going to look blurry if it snaps, and you're going to keep moving around. So the more still you are, the better. Take hundreds if you want to. Take 5 if you want to. But you do have 2 jobs.
Okay.
Look at you. And last but not least, Nina, was it? Aha. Look at me getting names right already. I'm on top of
You're
it.
doing awesome.
So, it's weird in this humidity too. Normally I at least forget. I did forget one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did.
So, this particular device is what we call a mel meter. This actually has 3 different functions to it. It also has an electromagnetic field meter in it, but it's way more accurate. That's the digital numbers at the top. Anything above 2.5, I want to know what's going on, so that way we can see if it's from a man-made object or if it's coming from a ghost. The bottom number is ambient temperature. If Rowena finds something on her camera, you and I can debunk it pretty quickly with the temperature that's being measured right here. The last thing that it has that everybody loves to use is what we call a REM pod or a motion sensor. So if something gets close to the antenna, it's going to go off. I'm not touching it right now. So obviously I'm touching it now. There's going to be different colors in there that you and I are going to talk about at our next stop, or the second stop from now, because that's the first place we're going to be using that. For now, kind of get used to where the red screen works and kind of get used to how that thing moves around. All right, is everybody geared up?
Yes, I'm just holding it from you too.
Oh, yeah, you might not want to. Okay, just make sure with the camera over here, you don't want to hold it from that because it will pop out. Are you?
Yeah, I'm not holding that. I'm holding the phone.
Okay, perfect. All right, so now that you're all geared up, go have fun. Rowena's in charge, so she's going to direct you around town. You got this?
Okay, you know how to get around town. City Market, here you go.
I know, right? So, we started here for a reason. Of course we do. Thank you for making the bag much lighter. That's a big difference. There's spare batteries in there, but nothing compared to what you guys are all holding, just so you know. Let me take a quick drink, because I'm pretty sure you guys are going to make me talk all night long. So, yeah.